hopefully my internet will actually work this time, but thanks for filling in for me earlier. So, this section will be a great review for those of you who have done this a couple times, and for those of you who are new, this is going to be really critical. So, we're going to talk about the different elements of the compliance review and what we're going to look for. You can move that slide forward, John. Oh, good. For a second, I was like, oh no, I'm frozen again. All right, so here's the requirements. You can see the stuff in green is going to be related to people who are data managers, and the stuff in purple is going to be related to people who are information security officers or ISOs. And we're going to talk about each of these pieces in a little bit more detail. So first of all, who's going to be involved in answering these different surveys? As I said before, your information security officer is going to be one of those people, and then your data manager. Now, these have multiple data managers or information security officers, so we'll talk about how those secondary people will fit into this as well. So we've got 4 surveys that you'll need to fill out. If you're a data manager, then you're going to fill out the data manager contact info survey and the privacy compliance survey. If you are your LEA's ISO, then you're also going to fill out a contact info survey. And then the other thing we're going to ask you to fill out is a cybersecurity framework survey. And we'll talk about each of these in a little more detail. All right, so first up, we have the data manager contact info survey. And yeah, go ahead, sorry. And then we also have the information security officer contact info survey. Go ahead. The cybersecurity framework implementation is going to be, like I said before, for the ISO. And then all the rest of this part is the privacy compliance survey. So each of these elements is going to be part of the privacy compliance survey. Okay, so this first one is the contact info survey for data managers. So this survey, if you can move forward one, this survey is going to be for all data managers in your LEA. So if you're a primary data manager, if you're a secondary data manager, whatever, we want to make sure that we have your contact info. So how this is going to work is this month, probably in the next couple of days, you're going to receive an email with a link to a survey that will go to all the data managers we have on file. We've done the best we can to keep up on any changes that you guys have emailed us or whatever in the past few months. So hopefully it will go to the right people. When you get that survey, you're just going to confirm that you are still the data manager for your LEA. If you get that survey and you're not the data manager anymore, or if you know that you're going to have a change in like the next very, very near future, the next couple of weeks or so, then you can provide the name of the new data manager. And then you're also just going to confirm for us your contact information, job title, job description. So if any of those things have changed, if your supervisor's contact information has changed, any of that, we just need an update about. And then there will be a couple of optional questions that you can answer if you choose, but they're not required about your role. And as far as a due date, there is no due date for this, but the soonest that you can get it back, the better. And then very similarly, we have the ISO contact info survey. So just like the data manager survey, this is for all ISOs in your LEA. And it's going to be really the same process. You'll get an email with a link here in the next couple of days or so. And we just want you to confirm all of your information. If anything has changed, then give us changes. And there's no due date, just as soon as you can get it back to us would be great. All right, so the cybersecurity framework survey, this is going to be for your primary information security officer. This one is going to go out in October. You're going to get an email with a link. And the kinds of questions that you're going to be asked about is going to be about the implementation of your cybersecurity framework. I put the link in the chat for the slide deck, so you can access this link right here if you're curious to see what the exact questions will be. And the goal here is just to help us understand where you guys are at and what kind of supports we can offer. So there's no like punishment or anything like that related to any of the questions. So we want you to be honest and just tell us where you're at, and so that we can work together to figure out how we can support you guys. The due date for this will be on November 15th. So you've got about 6 weeks to get this done. And just a note about this cybersecurity framework survey, this is a very technical survey. So if your ISO person is not your IT person, this is probably something that you want to work together with whoever handles your network and cybersecurity stuff. So excuse me, for some of you, that might be a third-party IT company. For some of you, maybe you're the ISO, but you're not the IT person. In that case, you would just want to coordinate and work with them. So if you're looking at this example question and your face looks like this, then this is probably something that you are going to want to work with your IT person on. Okay, and then our last survey is going to be this privacy compliance survey, and this is all the rest of the stuff that is in all the surveys. So for this one, this is going to be filled out by your primary data manager. So this is not something that needs to be filled out by all data managers, just the primary data manager in your LEA. And just like the cybersecurity framework, you'll get it in October. I think I saw in the chat somebody asked specifically when it will go out. It'll be very early October, like the first couple of days of October. And it will be sent to the primary data managers on file. That's part of the reason why it's so important to get that contact info survey back, because we want to make sure that it's going out to the right people. And then what are you going to be asked about in the survey? We're going to talk about that in the next couple seconds here. But basically, it's just going to be you showing us evidence to show that you're in compliance with certain requirements that exist in the privacy laws. There's also going to be some survey questions about your privacy practices, but those are not a requirement to answer. It's just helpful information for us. And that survey will also be due on November 15th. So a little bit, I almost forgot. A summary here about due dates. So contact info surveys will be sent out in the next couple days, and we just need those back as soon as you can get them to us. The other two surveys, the cybersecurity framework and the privacy compliance survey, will be emailed out in very early October, and the due date is going to be November 15th. And I do want to just say that I know that sometimes things come up. Maybe you're trying to get this stuff figured out and you know that you need a little bit more time. We're super happy to work with you. If you could just send an email to myself or to John, just let us know that you're working on it. You need a little extra time, and we can give you an extension if necessary. Okay, so here is a little bit more detail about the requirements of the privacy compliance survey. So this is going to be especially useful if you're new to this process. So the first thing that we're going to ask about is your annual notice of FERPA. So this is a document that needs to be sent home, or provided, I should say, to students every year. This document basically just outlines what parent and eligible students' rights are under FERPA. And there's also a short statement within that talks about notice of forwarding records to other schools. That part is not a requirement. It's just a recommendation to make your life a little bit easier. You only need to submit this if you did not receive a pass last year. So since the majority of you, I want to say it was like 94% did pass, most LEAs will not need to resubmit this. And you can check on your privacy compliance report to see if you need to or not. There's also a link on there with a model document. So if you don't have that, and you need some help with that, you can follow that link, and you are also welcome to talk to us. The next document is going to be the directory information notice. This also has to be provided to students every year, and we've also included a model document there for you. As John mentioned earlier, one of the things that kind of holds up some LEAs is that there's a very short phrase that needs to be contained in the directory information notice if you have students in grades 11 or 12 regarding military recruiters and institutes of higher education. So that's kind of the thing that's holding people back on this document. And if you need help with that, please do let us know. Again, you only need to submit this if you did not receive a pass last year. So there's 10% of you who will need to do this. And then our next document is the student data collection notice. This document has to be posted somewhere publicly on your website. So some of you guys might have this and it's part of your policy, but if it's not posted on your website, then that might be what's holding you back. We do have a model document there available for you if you need it. It basically just explains what kind of data you as an LEA collect, what kind of data you might collect additionally with parent permission, and then data that you never ever collect, the most important of which would be social security numbers. And then this last policy document is the data governance plan. The data governance plan has 7 parts and also needs to be posted on your website. We have provided a model document and some instructions about what that data governance plan needs to contain. But I do want to say that the model document is not the only way to do this. A lot of you guys have policies already in place that might not look like this model document, but as long as it meets those 7 requirements, then you're good to go. So the policy documents we did really, really great on last year. We were 90% or above in all of these areas. So fantastic work. Again, you only need to resubmit this if you did not pass. It's still worth it to check into your, check in with your LEA or on your website to make sure that you have all these documents in place, but you don't need to do anything to submit if you passed last year. And then our big chance for growth, as John said, we had huge growth in the area of the metadata dictionary last year. But this is the spot where we can really bring it up even more to get even more of you in compliance. The last part in that survey will be questions about privacy practices in your LEA. These are optional. You do not have to answer them. It's just kind of helpful information for us.